Dobar dan svima još jednom. Znači, dragi kolege i dragi gosti, danas nam je u gostima naš prijatelj Instituta, profesor Hussein Bagđi, koji je već dolazio kod nas, izuzetno uticajna osoba u oblasti spoljne politike u Turskoj. Čovek koji je, ako sam ja možda bio vezan za Francusku, on je dosta vezan za Nemačku, znači da je doktorirao u Bonu i tako dalje i da je bio član think tankova nemačkih mnogih. Tako da, vrlo nastavit ćemo, ali tu je i ambasador Republike Turske u Srbiji, tako da nam je velika čast danas što je tu. Nažalost, bivši ambasador, moj inače školski drug u Turskoj, Zoran Marković, nije mogao da dođe, ali trebalo je i on da dođe danas u institut. Tako da, evo, nastavit ćemo na engleskom. We shall continue in English. We are very honored to have our guest today, Professor Hussein Bagđi, Professor of International Relation still at the Middle East Technical University in Ankara.
Yes, still not retired.
He received his doctorate in political science from Friedrich Wilhelm's University in Bonn in 1988. He was the president of the Turkish Foreign Policy Institute. He was a guest member of many German think tanks like Council of Foreign Relations in Berlin and the Research Center for European Integration Studies in Bonn, and National Defense Academy of the Federal Ministry in Vienna in Austria. He also was a member of some British think tanks like Institute for Strategic Studies in London and Center of European Policies in Brussels. She was also professor in University in Bonn, is visiting professor at Sapienza in Rome, in Lublin, in Berlin also, and we always, because Turkey is now in the heart of the diplomacy, world diplomacy today, with all the negotiations about the Ukraine issues. Also, Turkey is a very important player in the Middle East. Turkey is a big country, big populations, in the same time European country, but also Asian country, Asian state. We have a great honor to have the representative of the Turkish state, Mr. Ambassador of Republic of Turkey in Serbia. Your name is? Ilhan ΣΑՅΓΙΛI.
Respectful family name.
Respectful, okay. Powerful, maybe, in Turkey. And this also the second post in the Turkish embassy, Mr. Kazım. Yes, thank you to be with us today. And I will give the floor to our respective professor, maybe to Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'm very honored, dear professors, dear academicians, to be with you today. And today is important from another perspective for me because Professor Bagđi, he was my professor as well in the university. And in those years, he was our mentor, and he continues to be our mentor after so many years. And he's a very respected one in the academia in Turkey and also in the Turkish public opinion. And he's one of the most popular professors in Turkey. To be honest, then from time to time I say Hussein Bagđi was my professor, and then he's my friend, and then it's also a source of pride for me still. And thank you, Professor. And it's another honor for me is to serve as the ambassador of Turkey in Belgrade. I'm here for the last 6 months, and it's a fact that Turkey and Serbia are two main pillars in this geography in the Balkans, and the close relations between our two countries is a must for maintaining peace and stability in this region. Thanks to the good chemistry and friendship between our leaders, we are managing to overcome some difficulties in our foreign policy agenda, and also we can focus on the positive sign of the coin. That means positive agenda. That's what we are doing. So, and the Turkish investments, our trade volume, they are increasing year by year. And so far, last year we exceeded 3.1 million euros in our trade volume. It's really big record. It's a very good figure. And also in terms of Turkish investors are very active. Turkish contractors are so active, and particularly human-to-human contacts are also important. For example, Turks are number one in terms of tourists revisiting Serbia. And Serbs are, Turkey is the second destination for Serbs after Greece that they visit as tourists. These are important figures. And of course, with our good foreign policy, successful one is also is contributing a lot, in settling many different issues. And I'll be very pleased, to listen to my professor today. And unfortunately, due to some time constraint, I will not be able to stay more than 45-50 minutes. But again, those minutes will be very precious for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Slobodan. And in Turkish we say, if it is second time, then it will become traditional. Now, it is already today traditional that I speak second time here, and it will be hopefully in future more and more, just to exchange the ideas and tell how I do see the world, and learn how you do see this, and I'm ready to learn always, also from my colleagues all over the world, as many travels I do around the globe. This will be also today's topic from the regional and global perspective, how I do see the world and their Turkish policy from an academic perspective. If you go ChatGPT and ask about Hussein Багџи, you will get it. It says, is the most objective academic. is artificial intelligence. It is not me that I say this. Or this Chinese DeepSeek and American artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence will define our future. Everybody has to be prepared for this. This is something new for our generation, particularly who didn't know even Skype, WhatsApp, X, etc. But now, my ambassador, I'm also very proud to have Ambassador İlhan ΣΑՅGILI here, and his colleague also, Kazım. This is my academic intellectual contribution to Serbia, to have these two gentlemen here in order to improve and develop further the Turkish-Serbian relations. And like last year, Hami, ambassador, the previous one, was very much also integrative here. And I talked to Mr. Ambassador that in the future we will also work together and create this intellectual linkage. Please don't misunderstand. When I say ambassador, it is not related directly to Turkish foreign policy, which I do sometimes agree, sometimes disagree. So this is our policy as academics, to be constructive, to tell what is going on, why, and where, and how it should be better, that the relations improve. Since last year, again, when I was asked last year how the Turkish-Serbian relations would be, I answered only good. Why? Because my daughter-in-law is a Serbian one. So I will do my best. By the way, she is from Becei in Vojvodina, and musician. She works in Ankara at Bilkent Symphony Orchestra, and my son is also a musician. playing for presidential symphony orchestra. So this is also a musical cooperation between two countries, and one is from Serbia and one from Turkey. You see, this will be also hopefully in future that we have more relations without, of course, neglecting the existing problems in the global and in regional context. Let me start with this perspective. The German professor Herfried Münkler from Humboldt University wrote a very interesting book saying that the world is in uprise. Die Welt ist im Aufstand. Die Welt ist im Aufruf. Why he was writing this book and talking about the European politics is this. We are not anymore in the same conditions as before. The parameters changed. As the former German Chancellor Olaf Scholz was using Zeitenwende, it is indeed Zeitenwende, the changing times after 24th of February 2022. Europe is not anymore the same Europe. The world is not anymore the same Europe. And also, since Donald Trump's second period started, in all my television programs in Turkey, I said, I'm very happy that Donald Trump is president again. So why do you support him? No. He creates a lot of jobs for us. Be pragmatic. We academics, as London School of Economics professor Fred Halliday said, our discipline, international relations, is crisis. Without crisis, we are jobless. So it's very selfish, it is true, but from my professional perspective, I'm very happy because we talk now more than ever before. Can you imagine if there would be Kamala Harris, the world would be very boring. Human rights, democracy, all this. Now it's more transactional, you know. As Otto von Bismarck said, international politics is interest. You have your interest, and every country is trying to put their interest anew. This is why Herfried Münkler calls certain countries revisionist countries. Russia is called revisionist country. Even my country, Turkey, is called revisionist country, according to him. But also America is revisionist. Greenland, Panama, Canada, name it. So the thing is here, we have a chaos in our brains. We do not have anymore the world structure since 1945, the international law, which is applied to a certain degree, is not anymore applicable after what happens in Gaza, what happens in Ukraine yesterday, and also this morning, I was called midnight, 2 a.m. by Turkish television, Habertürk, to comment about this mad lynch. I said, go on, yeah, I want to sleep. But you see here why an academic is called midnight to make a comment, because it is important, something happens. Something happens, we do not explain it anymore with the international law. All the values, European values, from human rights to democracy, is undergo now a new period. And I think this is as Anne Applebaum, she wrote last year a wonderful book with the title Autocracy, in which she talks how the autocrats come together and copy each other and having similar policies like the democratic countries' leaders do. So why it is important? Because at the moment to be anti-democratic is much more global rhetoric, and democracy is suffering under this. It was Angela Merkel who said at Harvard University speech before she retired, she said, democracy is not something that you take it for granted. You have to work for every day. This is why the societies in recent years, domestic policy-wise, experiencing a polarization Never ever we saw this type of polarization. The latest example is Poland. I mean, can you imagine now, in Poland we have a government which is very pro-European, and we have a president which is very close to Donald Trump, and he will stop certain things. So when I do talk to Polish ambassador in Ankara, Mr. Lanka, I said, now what's going on? He said, same way, I don't know. It will be difficult because the way where the countries, democratic countries, followed so far as a unified one, it is not anymore the case. German chancellor just visited America. I watch Germany very closely, by the way. And the discussion was 45 minutes, Donald Trump spoke, only 4 minutes, German chancellor. And this guy is number 3 in the world economy. I mean, it is not adequate. According to the financial, we say those who have money, they have always the right to speak more. Like last year, Globe Security Conference, where I met also your president, Vucic. In my group, we had one Jewish guy, the businessman who paid the money, $20 million, for the Blue Marmara event. Remember this? And the other one was the chief advisor to Mr. Sisi, Kerim Haggag, from the diplomat and university, American University in Cairo, and a Saudi young man, so mid-30s, very intelligent, no doubt, but he spoke the most one. Why? Because he is the rich one. So they support Globsec. So as Turkish one, I had also my talk, like German chancellor. 10 minutes, but is enough. I was able to say what I think. Why I'm telling you this, it is now the situation that we have to be prepared. But the problem is we are not prepared because the technological developments and the sociological, cultural developments do not go with the same pace. Technology you can get very new in a couple of days, you can adjust yourself, but not the values. So this is another important thing I would say I would like to mention here. Last year, ladies and gentlemen, probably most of you traveled more than I did, but I was in 12 countries, from China to Brazil, from Germany to Belgrade. I think the world, what we used to have, I belong to the generation, as Timothy Garton-Ash would call it, privileged generation, in his book, Europe, in German, or in English, Homelands. If you read these memoirs of Timothy Garton-Ash from Oxford University, and you see how Europe has changed. And this guy was one of the most important proponent of the Central and Eastern European countries to join European Union. He was very, very disappointed when Danuta Hopner was talking, it was good that Britain left the European Union. Or the Belgium Liberals Prime Minister's assistant said, oh, thanks God we get off from the British. He said, all my life I was trying to put these guys into European structures, economically, politically, culturally, and now what they say, we the British, we are out. What happened just 2 weeks ago, Britain has re-signed a similar agreement with the European Union as if they continue to be a member of the European Union. But the advantage was, Slobodan, in the last couple of years, that the British and the Turks are on the same line when we go to European Union countries. We wait for the passport, Europeans and non-Europeans.
Yes.
It was a wonderful feeling for us to be on the same line with British. But the difference was, as in 2011, we had a conference in Germany, Wiesbaden, a former communist and then MP from the Russian parliament, Duma, She was coming by train from Moscow via train. And she was taken, her passport was taken by the Polish custom people, and they tortured, in other words, made a lot of difficulties. She said, how is it possible? Those people whom we ruled so many years, they make us this type of troubles. Putin's feeling, ladies and gentlemen, to get this humiliation like the Chinese have experienced in the 19th century from Europe and the Russians in the 90s. And this is the fact that today the Russians' position is totally different, and many people do not understand the psychology. The Richard Sakwa, Professor Richard Sakwa, is now on the way to write the book, the second Cold War. Why is writing the book? Because we have now a separation in the minds of the people, Europeans versus Russians. I'm concentrating a little bit about this problem because it will last many years. This division, polarization is for generations now. But interesting point is here. I may give you this example. The Russians, yes, they are revisionist. They don't deny it. I was wrong. I didn't expect that Putin would attack Ukraine. I was wrong, like many. I'm not the only one. But
one expected only CIA, maybe.
You expected. Then you are more intelligent than us. No, he is more intelligent than us. Even one of my students, Cem Develi in Ankara, he said in a television program, he said, Russians will attack Ukraine 3 weeks before attack. And I was trying to formulate it more academically. Yes, it is possible, but it seems to be difficult, etc. The Russians have done it. And I said publicly, he's clever, better estimated than I did. But what is here now, maybe you have not thought about it. Inshallah, you have not thought about it. In the European continent, we had the German question, that the Germans are responsible for World War I and World War II. Professor Ludger Kühnert from the University of Bonn published a monogram, Center for European Integration Studies. He wrote there the new Russian question. In Europe, we do not talk anymore about German question, but we talk about Russian question. So they were very successful to transfer this to Russia. And this is, again, another very intellectual discussion for the future. John Mearsheimer, everybody knows. By the way, I was together with him in Sochi, 2 days. I got free lecture, unpaid, because we were together. It taught me everything about neoliberalism and the delusion of liberalism and great power conflict, etc. And is not very much liked in America with Stefan Walz. Why? Because he wrote the book about the Jewish lobby in America, and he was crucified, if you want, like Martin Luther in the 16th century, not from the church, but from the universities. This is exactly why Donald Trump attacked Harvard University. I think we have to be very careful with G.D. Vance. This guy and Donald Trump, they have their intellectual background. Very easy question. He says 97% of the professors in Harvard University, they are all leftist. Only 3% have conservative ideas. It is not the university, he says. So it is why he's attacking the universities. All over the world, the universities are under attack. This is a new phenomenon which we have to understand. to accept is another thing. I do not accept, but it is the thing that we have to see. And John Mearsheimer was writing and talking about this. He is one of the best advisors now of Donald Trump, of Vladimir Putin. But this year, we listened to Jeffrey Sachs. Now I make propaganda for Antalya Diplomacy Forum. Ambassador, next year, please make it possible that Mr. Slobodán is in Antalya. He was speaking there 8 minutes in front of us. I was just a couple of meters behind him. He said, very clear, criticized the American policy and Israeli policy. Now, to criticize policy is something as to apply the decision makers. Today, we do make a mistake. We think that all the state presidents should be, let's say, very intellectual, yeah? Should know about the philosophy, history, art, culture. Is nonsense. We are the intellectuals here. But these guys are intelligent. Not intellectual, but intelligent. They make a lot of money. Who is rich here, including myself? We are not. But we are rich in knowledge. They are rich in money. So, and this type of people will come to power. We have to be prepared. We have to be prepared that in future more and more business-minded people come to power and they address the real problems of the people in a different way. Now, Joseph Nye passed away. Everybody knows him. I also respected a lot his publications, from soft power to many others, division of power, etc. And you know, we saw that we have from unipolar world structure after the end of the World War. Now we go to bipolar world structure. The winner is not Russia. The winner is not Europe. It is China. As I go every year at least twice to China, I have no account in Chinese money, first of all, you should know. I'm just invited as an intellectual. The Chinese modernization, if you see this, then you see that is another world. Last week again, within 9 days in 3 countries, different. Georgia, Armenian Azerbaijan issue, in Tehran forum, including Taliban's foreign minister. I mean, you know, to sit with the Taliban is really experience. And if you are in elevator, like outside, with this guy, the Secret Intelligence Service from Iraq, Iran, and then this guy, fat, bald, original Taliban, original, and then 2 his advisors, and me as a Turkish academic in between. I don't know what you say. I cannot tell them about the democracy, human rights, women's rights. It doesn't function. And having lunch together with them is another experience, you know. So, but the thing is, here, we experience now this bipolar world structure in a real sense. I taught in Portugal. The difference between Lisbon and Barcelona is 1,200 kilometers. Okay? And I asked this simple question. I said, how many hours do you need to go this 1,200 kilometers? They said, yeah, you have to take the train there and then change and that. I said, Shanghai and Beijing, 1,200 kilometers. I made the experience. I was in the train going in 4 hours, 20 minutes. 1,200 kilometers, and you are like in your home. You drink your coffee, look from the window. In our country, the trains, you know, when they go 150 kilometers, you cannot see outside. It's like a cinema watching case. And the Chinese, I read the biography of Xi Jinping, by the way. One German, two Germans, Stefan Aust from Die Welt, and the other one, 25 years he lived in Beijing. His wife is Chinese. They wrote the biography of Xi Jinping, the strongest man. The strongest man in the world is at the moment, we think, is Donald Trump. It's not. It is Xi Jinping. He says. I have also my views. But what is more important, the Chinese, for example, do not know that Xi Jinping's first wife was the daughter of an ambassador to London. The marriage was 2 years, and then he married now the army singer, wonderful woman, by the way, very much respected, because she is in China. The other one was high society ambassador's wife in London, you know, shopping centers, theaters, etc. And this guy, Xi Jinping, was a man of the land. I was in the place where he lived 4 years. I was in the place where the Chinese state was established in 1947, and Mao's interview to American journalists in 1946. I was there. Why I'm telling you this? Because the Chinese modernization process is different than the Western industrialization process. Whether it's good or bad is another thing. But we see how the global South, the countries, including Serbia, how they look to China. In Sao Paulo, we have been 370 people from 45 countries from the global South. And just before G20 meeting last year in October, you know, whether BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation can become counterparts of certain European institutions like the European Union, or whether they will be establish a military alliance or economic alliance. I think this bipolar world structure will be also my main thesis today. Is it is not Europe which is rival of America. It is China. And the Russians, we do not think that the Russians also trust very much to Chinese. In the historical context, you know, China is at the moment appearing as if on the side of Russia, but it is not necessarily. They consider America as the counterpart. Remember the Cold War years? NATO Pact, Warsaw Pact, they were coming together, the leaders, and then they were informing their allies. And now, today, this is the new academic terminology, we do not have alliances based for long term. We call it situational alliances. It means there is a situation and a couple of countries come together, establish an alliance, and then get what they want, and then the alliance is breaking down. The North Korean soldiers in Ukraine, who would have thought that the North Korean soldiers would come to the heart of Europe and fighting? 2 years ago, when Vladimir Putin visited North Korea, there is a Turkish newspaper, Sözcü. I gave an interview to there. I said, a new alliance is emerging. Putin is there to get military support. Thanks God, it happened. I said it. It's in the newspaper. Not after the Korean soldiers came and fought, before. And this is a situational relationship. Either we have structural power, like the Americans have, or relational power. I think Russia is very interesting now. The Russians still suffer under Barack Obama's accusation that Russia is a regional power. Putin would never accept this, and he tries now to prove that it is so. But why Americans are good with Russians? Again, Antalya Diplomacy Forum this year. Lavrov is speaking in front of us. We greeted each other because I know him since 4 years. And he said, the only country which can understand us, the America. Everybody looked like this. Why? Because for the Americans, a weak Russia is preferable, but not a dead Russia. So you can break up the bones of the Russians, but not take the life. No one can control Russia except the Russians. Yesterday, in the German discussion with Wolfgang Kissinger, you definitely know him, is the former peacemaker, deal maker between Ukraine and Russia, German top diplomat, Munich Security Conference president. And there was a woman economist. She said, the Americans have now the reindustrialization process. It means they do not build shopping centers only now, also build factories. Who is the bigger consumer? Russia. The Russians will be, for the new American products, the new customer. And this is something new. Is why Donald Trump is very careful with Vladimir Putin. People think, oh, this idiot, this idiot is very close to Vladimir Putin. Yes, is defending his American interest. In Europe, if somebody says this, and then, oh, do you support Donald Trump? No, not at all. He's not intellectual, by the way, so how can I do? But he's intelligent, is another thing. And now, the guy is trying to put America's interest in forefront. Exactly the same policies as after World War I. Everybody remembers the war in Tsushima, when the Japanese in 1905 defeated the Russian Navy. First time an Asian country was defeating a European power. Everybody was shocked. And then we saw all these American presidents after 1905, they looked to Russia from a different perspective, including the Chinese. The Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution. Yes, Russian Revolution failed. It was important in sociological sense, ideological sense, but not in economic terms. Russia is not competitive, neither in artificial intelligence nor in other car industry, name it. They have only too many missiles. This is only what they have. I think the question whether there would be a nuclear war, everybody is very much afraid that there could be a tactical nuclear attack of Russia. I don't think so. But in Iran, ladies and gentlemen, I listened to President Pezeshkian. By the way, I have to tell you, everybody, including myself, cursed the Israelis. You know why? Because all the telephones are taken away. You know why? Because in Lebanon, these telephone killings, even the journalists hate Israelis because they couldn't write any news, they couldn't do anything, and including myself, couldn't take any pictures, which I like. Pezeshkian was saying Iran is not going to have nuclear weapons because Ali Khamenei said it is against the Quran, which I don't believe, by the way. The Iranians would like to get nuclear weapons because the nuclear weapons are the best deterrents, like the North Koreans. The North Koreans are feared because they have nuclear weapons. If they do not have nuclear weapons, I mean, this underdeveloped country. But nuclear weapons, important. And then we listened to Mr. Arakci, foreign minister, and deputy foreign minister who is dealing in Oman also with these negotiations. And I told to Omani politician who organized all this, I said, "Oh, you do a good job there between Americans and the Iranians." He said, "Yes, we do our best, we will see." And then we had Javad Zarif, the former foreign minister. Believe me, Slobodan, he was giving the same literature which I give in my classes. I said to him, "Javad, nothing new. The literature is the same." So it means, but he was saying something. All these four people, Pezeshkian, Javad Zarif, Arakchi, and deputy foreign minister, and their permanent negotiator with the Americans, Mr. Harazi, who is a chief negotiator in all those years. He knows everything. You know, the issue is how many uranium is going to be enriched, 3.8% or 0.5%. But the fact is, the Americans and the Israelis, they will never attack Iran. They cannot attack Iran. To run Iran, you need to put soldiers there. And you cannot put soldiers to 100 million people having Iran. You cannot do this. So diplomacy is functioning. Again, diplomats are very much requested to find a solution. I do not expect that there is a nuclear war, but we have poly-crisis, several crises. At the moment, we have 21 internationally, 21 crises around the world. And I think this crisis, big and small, will occupy our minds, and new diplomatic maneuvers will be there, or new political leadership will come in the next couple of days, years. Even look to Germany. Merz is different than the Olaf Scholz. Look how Germany is changing. I think this postmodern world is having a different structure. The question is here, capability and capacity. What countries can do, what type of capabilities they have, and what capacities they have. Will America, for example, get Canada? Certainly not. Greenland? Certainly not. You will believe. Yes. I think this crisis management between America and Iran will be different. You know, the people in Qatar, you know, these small Gulf countries, they are so effective now in the world crisis. United Arab Emirates, Qatar. But what I tell you now, hope will be important. I will go also to Gaza and Israel. When Donald Trump visited United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, he got $3.2 trillion. A lot of money. He collected like official mafia. You get for protection. The Professor Mr. Asiri from Kuwait, he said to me, "Professor Bagđi, we are so happy that Donald Trump this time didn't visit Kuwait." If he would have visited, probably they had to give also a lot of money to him. This is why he is intelligent, not intellectual, but intelligent. Who can collect in a couple of days so much money? Show me any political leaders in the world. One. No, it can only be the American president. Now, we have a problem now in Gaza, which is also this morning, the ship Madeleine was taken by the Israelis. Israel is very interesting. G.D. Vance said, it is not Holocaust because the Israelis are not killing everyone, like the Germans, he said, during World War II. But what Israel does, of course, cannot be accepted by any means, international law, war law, moral point of view. Nobody can stop at the moment Israel, Netanyahu, because Americans just recently once again vetoed. And this is the problem of World War II structure, as Kissinger wrote in his book, World Order. This order does not address anymore to the problems or provide solutions to the problems. In Georgia, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere at the houses, you see Israeli flag and Georgian flag. In Baku, I was in Baku in November. Azerbaijan is the only country which celebrated the National Day of Israel, which is not celebrated in Turkey. Turkey and Azerbaijan are very good friends, but publicly Turkey condemns Israel, and Azerbaijan is the best friend. The Azeri territory with Iran is protected by the Israeli technology. So you say, hey, just a minute, you say that it is against moral, etc., but you support it? Even Turkish companies, many Turkish companies still make business with Israel. The argument is very clear. We do it good for the state. Netanyahu is a government, and if he is out, we will continue also to have the relations. I got another lecture this year in March when I visited Germany. You know, we academics, we are also learning every day. We not only teach, but also learn. I met a German politician in the German parliament. He said, Professor Bagđi, we will work with President Erdogan. Doesn't matter whether you like him or not. It is transactional relation that we have now, not value-based policy. And he said, to prevent democracy is your problem. And I said, you're right. To prevent democracy is our problem. But that the Germans even change now from value-based foreign policy, as Annalena Baerbock was telling, or feminist foreign policy, which cannot be realized, the most stupid policy ever, feminist policy in international relations. Among the chakals, you want to be a nice small rabbit. Come on, they eat you. And what she has done now, she is representative of Germany in the United Nations. Helga Schmidt, I know her from European Security Conference. She was already appointed to United Nations. Her name was told, and now the former foreign minister is representative. Morally, Germans gave us a very interesting lecture. We are not alone. If the Germans do it, then the others, those who have non-moral policies, they justify. Look here, they say. And I think we have to discuss even this, because the fact is we do not have any morale anymore in international politics. It was Joseph Nye who his 2023 books wrote, Do Morale Matters in International Politics, ? The answer was no. Very simple. No. In a Trinity College in Dublin, everybody is talking about the double standards. Yeah? There is no double standards. There are triple standards, quadruple standards. So you have different masks in international politics. And this is exactly the period. I mean, we do not have big people like Adenauer, like Charles de Gaulle, or Helmut Schmidt, Helmut Kohl, Gorbachev. The period is out. And this is, again, where we have difficulties to adjust. I mean, again, for the young people, It is history. They just read from the books. 20 years old student in the university, is just reading from the books. But we experienced. I met Gorbachev, I met Deng Xiaoping, Kissinger, Brzezinski, name it. All these people. And then suddenly you see today, what I'm going to teach to my students. At the university, one of the biggest problems now, one, the students do not read. I don't know in Serbia, but the same, yeah. Sometimes I feel myself like a mother, to tell to boy or girl, eat it is important. No, I don't eat. Yeah, eat it is good for you. Yeah? Is intellectually, read this book, this is important. No, there is a resistance. Okay, this is an academic problem. But internationally speaking, I will say, how do we get now these two conflicts, Russian-Ukrainian conflict and Gaza conflict? How do we explain it? Which values we should? From Chinese perspective, last year in Shanghai and in Beijing, I had, dear friends, talks, 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 Chinese, and putting me like in crossfire, torturing intellectually all the questions, and they ask and ask, and I try to answer. They said 50,000 people, not too much. They look from the perspective from 1.4 billion. What is 50,000 people if they lost their lives in war? But, and this but is important, China is not anymore indifferent to the developments. One of my speeches will be in Fudan University this year, Chinese Middle East policy, old wine in the new bottle. The Chinese and the Americans now very interesting how they see the regional conflicts. Maybe from here, a couple of minutes, Slobodan, on Turkish foreign policy, and then I can stop. Turkey is the winner at the moment concerning the regional conflicts. Turkey is making a lot of profit of Russian-Ukrainian war. We talk both, we sell both, we buy from both. Perfect condition. And Istanbul is a good place for negotiations. I supported the idea from the very beginning. But Turkey is not in the position to arbitrate. Arbitrator are the Americans, not Turkey. We provide the platform. Turkey is the winner in Syria, 100%. The losers are Iranians and the Russians. The Iranians gave it in their talks. They accept this. My thesis was, in the Middle East, ladies and gentlemen, the non-state actors using weapons are not anymore tolerated, be it Hezbollah, PKK, YPG. And Turkey has now this terror-free Turkey. And this is the latest publication, very nice. The Syrian Kurds, the Democratic Union, and the strategic framing of the civil war. How the PYD in Syria is now acting and negotiating with the President Ahmet el-Shara. Ahmet el-Shara was also in Antalya Diplomacy Forum. Very interesting. Tayyip Erdogan, Viktor Orban, Ahmet el-Shara, is like a Champions League game in the sense of autocracy. very, very interesting. But Syria, we have to follow very careful. Americans opened their embassy. Turkey is the first one opened. The Germans and the European countries opened one by one. And the other one, the winner is beside Turkey England, ladies and gentlemen. The British are the behind the scenes, the winner in Syria. France is not so much. Russia lost. And I think I always said in the public debates, Syria will not become a Taliban-style regime. It cannot. It will be a soft Islamic state, like in the 90s, the soft Islam, which was introduced in the early 90s when Taliban was appearing after the Soviet withdrawal. Now, Turkey is also considered one of these countries. The Kurds, very important issue. We have in Turkey a very interesting psychology now. We don't know, should the Turks trust to the Kurds or not? It's in between. I always said I'm very cautious optimist. With distance, I keep my distance. But I said this, the PKK lost the war because of the Turkish political stability, in the sense the political will to fight cross-border terrorism, and technology that Turkey uses. The foreign minister of Iraq was also in Tehran. He spoke in front of us. He said, this new development road, which is also passing through Turkey, cannot be disturbed by any non-state actor having terrorist activities. Necirvan Barzani, one of the Kurdish leaders, I mean, the guy is really, first, nice looking, speaking perfect English, perfect Farsi, because he was as a child in Iran. And when he was asked what he thinks about this, he was very careful not to take any side. In the Middle East, there will be no Kurdish state. The Kurds are divided into 4 countries, and they can only improve their conditions in those countries. Iranian foreign minister, mayor of Tehran, and then the deputy foreign minister, and I sit and we watch this cultural event, yeah, from Iran, they show. The first one was from the Kurdish region where Pejak is active. They danced exactly like in Turkey. Nobody can deny the existence of the Kurds in the Middle East. But the trouble is they are divided. They are like a cake, no? 4 pieces. One is small, one is big. And the most advantageous position is in Turkey. And how Turkey is dealing with this terror-free concept is interesting. The most nationalist one, who was from the very beginning against the PKK, is the guy is now for the peace, MHP, I mean here. It's unbelievable. Many people are shocked. So many years you say this is the enemy number 1, and then now you say you come and you talk. If Turkey gets it, now the economic one, if there's no terror in this part of the world, 1, Iraq and Syria, the Turkish goods will go there and come until the Gulf. But Turkey is not doing it alone. Turkey does it with China. Turkey does it with European Union, Germany, bilaterally. But there was a problem. Just last week, I appeared on Iraqi television. So midnight, around 11. Very interesting discussion. They first discussed about Russian-Ukrainian war, and then the Turkish-Iraqi. I mean, I never thought that it would be a problem. The guy, my colleague from the university, from Iraq, said, Turkey does not give us enough water. So please, you have a new problem, a new baby. Turkey is not providing enough water to Iraq. I said, oh, excuse me, I said Turkey is providing in second 800 cubic meter. Legally, not more than 500. Turkey is making favor. I said you should change your agricultural technology. You have Soviet-style technology. The water is flowing open because it's 50 degrees. You cannot get enough thing. In Turkey, we have a GAP, Southeast Anatolia project. All the tunnels, concerning the irrigation of the lands is under the water, under the soil, so that you can use the water. And then I said in the 90s we had peace pipeline process. Turkey was providing water to Iraq and Syria. And then the speaker is Anchorman, very interesting. He said, but your former president, Süleyman Demirel, said, you have oil. Do you give us oil? You don't. So we have water, we don't give you water. No, water versus oil. In the 90s, many of you would remember, we had intellectual debates, the future water wars. Why I'm telling you this, in the Middle East, irrigation is one problem, and the drought is the second. The climate change, it is not enough snow on the mountains. There is not enough water, it is true. And Turkey had 7 dams producing energy. Now we get the Russian nuclear plant. Maybe there will be another one. But the problem was Bosch company, Siemens company from Germany, they were not providing the necessary turbines because Turkey does it with Russia. I didn't know this. I supervised a PhD thesis. In 1988, under Turgut Özal period, Turkey suggested to the British whether they could build a nuclear plant. The British said, no, it does not bring any money. Turkey's alternative, like in S-400 question, Pershing versus Patriots versus S-400, Turkey was forced to work with Russia. There is no other alternative. If you do not give it, then the others who provide technology can do this. Now, from Turkish perspective, the defense industry is very much functioning. Serbia is one of our customers. I say it first time with a great proud. We have been buying from Serbia in the 80s and 70s. And this is now very interesting. Turkey provides munition to all European countries, from Estonia to Poland, to Ukraine to Serbia. This is unique development. We have this development. This year, Turkey is selling $10 billion value of weapons. Suddenly, I consider Turkey, oh my God, this is a change. In 2017, we wrote an article with my PhD student, Turkey's strategic choice to buy or to sell weapons. Now we sell the weapons. Whether it's good or bad is another debate. Morally, against the peace, etc., fine. But the European Union is getting now very nice to Turkey. They say some words in love. Turkey is very important for European security. We should work together. Turkish foreign minister is invited to London, to Paris. Turkey is, yes, it is important. The European security without Turkey cannot function. 4 countries, America, England, Turkey, and Russia. They are important for the European security. And that Turkey is now getting more closer with European. First time after so many years, my dear student number 2, Kazım, worked for the European Union organization in Turkey. He knows all the files. I mean, we started the chapters to open, then stopped, and suddenly, I find it good, by the way. I find it good that European Union recognizing Turkey more valuable in this geostrategic, geopolitical, and geoeconomic field. But also, last one, and then we can go to question. Turkish word, the Turkish State Union organization. When Turkey was getting these relatives after the end of the Cold War, 1992, we were not prepared to comprehend what happens with this Turkic states or Turkish states. We said Turkic states. It is like Westernistic states. It is used for Japan and Turkey. Beribuzin used this. Not belonging to Europe, but as if it is European. And this 2009 in Nakhchivan, it was established, and now they have the headquarters in Istanbul, Turkish State Union, and the European Union has realized, as von der Leyen was in Samarkand speaking, and via Turkey, they go now to Central Asia. Who is the loser? Russia. Dear friends, the Russians are running out of the country because the Russians do not need any visa. I don't know here how many there are, but to Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, they go. Even Uzbekistan is one of the biggest profit makers in this sense. So the more European Union is integrated in Central Europe, the more Russia is squeezed. It's a new development. We have to be prepared. And Turkey has to balance this Russian versus European influence. How they will do it, we will see. Yes, maybe it's better I stop here. Otherwise,
No, thank you.
I can speak 3 hours.
Thank you for this very interesting exposure and views on international relations and the position of Turkey in the contemporary world. Now it's time for question time, like in British Parliament. Okay. Okay, we have several participants.
It is good, sir.
Ko će prvi?
But also last year we had wonderful.
Okay.
Radi. Hello, my name is Stevan Gajić. I work here at the Institute. Last time you were here, I asked you 2 questions, and you gave me 2 very precise answers. Actually, the time proved what you said. I asked you whether Recep Tayyip Erdogan will meet with President Assad, at the time president, and you said that you are highly doubting that this would ever happen, which eventually was correct. And I also asked you whether Turkey, because there was a lot of talks at the time that Turkey might join BRICS, whether it will join it, and you gave quite a direct answer, which I was doubting at the time, that there is no chance it will join BRICS, that Turkey is part of NATO, and that it is politically aligned with the West, and that nothing will change in that respect. Knowing that Turkey had 2 significant victories, I would say, against Russia in South Caucasus. Russia is out, France is in, Turkey is in, but many other players, even Iran, now hold military exercises with Azerbaijan, which is quite an interesting development, knowing the role of Israel in the 2 short Karabakh wars. Turkey also won in, as you mentioned, in the Middle East. Having that in mind, how, I don't know if it's a correct way to ask the question, but how would you assess Turkey's role in the Balkans Now, after these two significant victories, having in mind that Turkey is militarily involved in selling Bayraktars to both our province, Kosovo and Metohija, and actually a couple of days ago there was an incident with the Bayraktar flying inside of central Serbia from there, and also Bayraktars to Bosnia, also and also being militarily present both in Kosovo and Metohija, Macedonia, Albania, Bosnia. What do you think is going to, what's coming next? Thank you very much.
First of all, this Bayraktar changed the orientation. It was not good managed. But Bayraktar is indeed a phenomenon. With the Italians, they signed now a new contract. This is a flagship now of Turkey. And but my expectation, also the foreign minister was recently here, Turkish foreign minister. I know him for years, also one of my former students. He's a very careful guy. Is not the previous one, is a politician. He's bureaucratic background, having a secret intelligence service directorate. Sometimes I say, Slobodan, I would like to have his knowledge of the dossiers, Probably I would be a different person in my political analysis if I would have read all this information. Second-hand information, okay, but all the insider information we have. I do not think that Turkey looks to Balkans from the revisionist perspective. First of all, it is not no Ottomanist policy. In Tehran, yes, in Tehran, there was an Arab guy who was speaking, Turkey is colonialist, imperialist, expanding, etc. I said, it sounds very nice, but it is not true. So the capability and capacity issue is here. And I think Turkey has chosen the policy, with all my critics to the government policies, not to polarize, but to be more constructive. Turkey is now like between Sudan and Ethiopia, Somalia and Ethiopia, and in many conflicts like Russian-Ukrainian war. Turkey tries to be a mediator, so no confrontation. This is a change. There was a very interesting cartoon, not cartoon actually, a TikTok thing. The former foreign minister, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, is standing in front of Turkish president in the parliament. Tayyip Erdoğan is sitting there and he says, Mevlut, how is our relations with Japan? He says, very good, should I destroy it? So even this joke was very interesting. It is not anymore this confrontational policy. When Donald Trump came to power, be careful, Erdogan called him my friend, and Donald Trump called him my friend. So there are two friends. But these two friends in 2019, they were fighting against each other, destroying the Turkish economy, and he was putting sanctions, the Katsa sanctions towards Turkey. So it's changing because the American grand strategy, which I'm teaching, by the way, to entire defense industry general directors and deputy directors, the grand strategies of America, China, Russia, European Union, and Turkey. The American grand strategy at the moment is to cooperate with Turkey, not reject Turkey, in the Middle East, in the Balkans, in Russian conflict. So Turkey's political value, geopolitical, geostrategic value increased. We do not have anymore the same conditions as before. In 2019, we didn't have Russian-Ukrainian conflict. In 2019, we didn't have Gaza conflict. So your question maybe how Bayraktar case. Turkey is providing, we wrote this article, it's important. It was a good article anyway, at least for me, satisfactory. 100 years of Turkish Republic. I wrote the article with a friend of mine, a student. Turkey in search of security providing country, not security consuming country. Several years Turkey was considered as security consuming, trying to create troubles. But now it changed. Turkey tries to provide security, try to make the conflicts as much as possible settle down and not be part of it. And this is the new philosophy. But Bayraktar, you're right, it is a very interesting one, selling everywhere. In 2022, in future maybe it can be used against me as a document. When I was president of Turkish Foreign Policy, I made different programs, half-an-hour programs, okay, talking about Turkish foreign policy and global politics. And I said, this Bayraktar company and Selçuk Bayraktar will go into history as the maker of Turkish defense industry. Probably, I said, his monument will be erected. I said this. So far, is good. I don't know whether it will be further so, but the Serbian and Turkish defense industrial cooperation is unique, is emerging, and both sides, actually, let me put it like this. Both sides are very pragmatic. There is no feelings of as before. So it is not the policy, not from Hakan Fidan. I have to tell it. It is one very experienced, and is also aware. When you look to his body language, okay, is always standing like a bodyguard next to the Europeans, but at the same time, when he starts to talk, everybody listens very carefully. So I think this is the choice of the president, maybe one of the best choices. For some other ministers, I cannot say the same, but as foreign minister, yeah, is the right one at the moment. And he is very good friend of Ahmet El-Shara. Ibrahim Kalin is also very, we are like fish in the same aquarium in Ankara. We know each other. We cannot say that we don't know each other. We know each other. And Ibrahim Kalin became Secret Intelligence Service president, and he said, Hocam is the teacher. We have academy, please give us lecture. I said, okay, we will do it, but I didn't do it so far because I don't want to lose my objectivity. It's more important than anything else. But this Karabakh war, you are very right. When I do talk to Armenians in Tbilisi, we had a very interesting discussion. I said to the Armenian delegation, Foreign Ministry, Defense Ministry, academics, we make this second track diplomacy. Yeah? So we come and we talk about the issues. I said, you have two options. Either you will have Karabakh nationalism and you will suffer poverty, or you cooperate and you prosper and you will become rich. There's no way out. And they will cooperate. Mr. Pashinyan will be in GLOBSEC conference. I will listen to him. Last year I was also listening to him. In Armenia, he is not very much liked because he is not an intellectual again. He's a man coming from journalism, man from the street. but very clever. He knows to cope, to confront with Turkey does not bring anything. And I say it also here, the Turkish-Armenian border should be opened as soon as possible. Everything is perfect. During the earthquake, we saw, the help came. And Turkey can contribute for both sides. And in Baku, I saw all the war materials they acquired from the war, and they put a huge monument for 44 days. It lasted 44 days, and I spent many sleepless nights because I commented always. One day he said, Hocam, would you be there 10 minutes? I said, okay. 10 minutes became 6 hours. It started in the night, and then when I came out, it was hell. Now, the issue is Turkish defense industry and Bayraktar will make headlines. That the Italians have done it, it is important. Meloni is visiting Turkey, and Erdogan and Meloni, they understand each other very well because they eat the same fish from the same sea.
Okay, thank you. Maybe the Bayraktar is also, I don't know if you sell it into Serbia, but to balance everything, maybe to sell it to us also. Okay, the next question, Nikola.
Professor Bagđi, it's always a pleasure to hear you speak. I'm Nikola Tucakov. I also work here at the Institute. I have two very connected questions, I feel. The first is, I would really like to hear a very brief, your very brief perception of the relationship between Turkey and Qatar. Yes, because I feel like this is increasingly becoming an interesting topic. And connected with this question is, you mentioned how a major feature of Turkish foreign policy will be zero tolerance for non-state actors under arms, but it could be argued that Turkey's historical softening towards Islamism under Erdogan could maybe be a conducive to support for non-state actors across the Middle East. Namely, could a higher tolerance for Islamism as opposed to traditional Turkish secular nationalism be a possible invitation to maybe encourage some more non-state Islamist elements across the Middle East? Could this be a way to sort of give a green light or a sort of wink towards those kinds of forces in the Middle East? That's it.
Pragmatic one. It can sell anyone in this respect. And it's sold. Like the Blue Marmara event we saw, we have the example. And they said, did you ask me when you went to the ship? No. Then what the Israelis have done, it is correct in this sense. The second one, in Turkey we have in the prisons a lot of ISIS people. So the total number is 12,000 radicals, Islamic radicals. And you may not forget, Turkey is in cooperation with Interpol, United Nations, and European Union. Every person in prison is known. We have also radicals from Bosnia and Herzegovina, for example. A guy, even the picture, is like the Wolfman, it's very fearful face. Yes, radical Islamism is a phenomenon, but it's not Turkish policy to support. It's very interesting. It seems that Turkey is there, but 2014, when ISIS became the #1 enemy of NATO, Turkey said, yes, it was the meeting in Wales. ISIS is enemy of Turkey, and they are not friendly to Turkey. They burnt all the Turkish soldiers. Two countries are very helpful to international police. This is the Interpol and the European Union police structure. Konrad Weber, for example, the former German Bundesnachrichtendienst was writing about this Hamas and Hezbollah issues. Turkey is letting all the names pass. And Ahmet al-Shara, who was a terrorist before, now president, is changing and accepted and respected by everybody because the guy is the winner. Those who win the war makes the history. This is the rule. Now the question is, and Ahmet Davutoğlu, Ibrahim Kalın, and Hakan Fidan, they hug each other because he is educated by Turkey, by the way. Is why he's very close to Turkey. It was under Turkish control, if you want, Turkish military educated. I think Muslim Brothers case would be the most important one. Turkey forbid the Muslim Brothers to be active after Turkey improved relations with Egypt. Turkey said either you stop your publication, radio, television, all these things, or you leave the country. Either you shut up or you leave. Some shut up, some left. So in this respect, I do not see at the moment, at least, that Turkey is intending to support any non-state actor. Why I said this non-state actors are not tolerated, not only by Turkey, but also by the Gulf countries. Last year I was in United Arab Emirates and we talked there, people like you together, and they were also saying, we are investing and we don't want to get anything. And development road in Iraq is one of them. And the second question, Qatar. In Turkish, we have a wonderful thing. I don't know who speaks Turkish, but Qatar bize ne Qatar. So it means what Qatar is contributor. Yeah? What Qatar contributes to us, we don't know. Qatar bize ne Qatar. But Qatar is one of the biggest investors in Turkey, together with United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates has $52 billion investment. Even in Istanbul, this Black Sea area, a lot of new houses will be done, like here, Riverside in Belgrade. Similar, you will face the similar. I don't know. I don't have money. For me, if it does not belong me.
I thought the buildings in Istanbul, are they well composed with
they are not yet. They are not yet done. Yeah, on the way. The mayor was, who is now in prison to stop it. The guy is in prison. I don't know when he comes out. Probably not until the elections. Understandable from the government perspective. But Qatar is also taking the role of Turkey, playing this arbitration role between Hezbollah and Israel, or nuclear negotiations. Now Oman entered into the picture, but it was Qatar before with the Iranian negotiations. So, and the Qatari emir is a very good friend of Erdogan. They invest a lot in Turkey. The guys have the money. Maybe I told you this. In Doha conference, I was sitting in one session next to the Qatari finance minister and then the Qatari energy minister. Even their voice is dollar, the breath is in dollar, so rich. I never sit next to someone who is so rich. Even to sit next to you have the feeling, I have in my pocket not enough money, but at least somebody next to me it has. They invest in Turkey, and we have some critics in Turkey that Turkey is selling certain strategic sectors which is not good. But so far, no problem. So far, no problem.
Okay, next question. Let's put in the phone.
Thank you, Professor, for your wonderful lecture. I'm Uroš. I work at the European Movement Secretariat. You mentioned
Union.
Well, the movement in Serbia.
Yeah.
It's,
European movement.
yes, not the union. So you mentioned in your lecture an interesting thesis. Mostly people tell us that we are entering a multipolar world, but you mentioned it's going to be a bipolar one.
Yeah.
Could you please explain how and why, and where the European Union role is there? If you think it's between the United States and China, what is the role for the EU? What is the role for Turkey in that? Where is it aligned? What can it do? And as a sub-question, if I may, you mentioned that your son is a musician. Would you tell us perhaps what instrument he plays? I think it says a lot about a man. Thank you.
Very easy. My son plays horn, French horn, and is also a dirigent. He's directing the state orchestras. I'm very proud of him. All good investments, music. No money, but pride. And my daughter-in-law, she's Serbian. She plays viola at the Bilkent University. She is at Bilkent Symphony Orchestra. So both are musicians, and when they come to us, our house is really very nice. Balkan atmosphere, flair, and food. Avyar, from Ayvar to many others. Nice. I'm very proud. At least we are relatives now in the sense of our bilateral relations. Your question, I think European Union is a power center still, but not the defining one. It is China and America still two big competitors. European Union is trying to work with both of them. Within the European Union, there are countries which are against China, but other countries like Germany, very much depending on certain sectors. I think when I talk about this multipolar structure, many academics talk about it. I do not deny it that countries even like India, Brazil, they are coming now into the picture more and more, but they are not having the structural power using the policy of Susan Strange from London School of Economics. The structural power has America. They have the money, they print the money, and now the second money is renminbi, the Chinese money. Exchangeable in all Asia, you can buy and sell. So the European Union currency is still one of the most strongest one, but Europe is still fragmented. NATO is bringing them together, but there will be no European army. Very simple reason: which language they will speak? English. If it is English, England is not member of the European Union. The French would not like to speak German. Germans would not like to speak French. There was one mistake product. It was Joschka Fischer who visited these high schools in the 60s, when de Gaulle and Adenauer signed this agreement in Versailles. They said, also we educate our youth in both languages. He was one, and Daniel Bendit-Cohn was one of the guys. But, the French does not speak German. They are so nationalistic in the sense of their language. I understand them. German is my first foreign language. I love German language, German philosophy, German understanding. I dream even in German. But this Turkey's relationship with Europe, it is not anymore the membership issue, it is not the case. It will be also not the case, because with this system in which every country has to say yes, it is too difficult now. I mean, imagine if Hungary does not want to get anyone, if they say no, then the problem is stopped. Or, as Olaf Scholz has said to Viktor Orban, Viktor, go and get a cup of coffee. They kicked him out from the room, and then they decided. Either, this was a diplomatic solution, but it is not fine. So the system has to be changed. Majority, qualified majority voting system is the best one. A small country, even, if Luxembourg says no to Turkey, well, what? With all my respect, what? We are 90 million people, yeah. Every day in my country, 17 million children go to elementary school, yeah. What are we talking about? So there are different, it is a political decision. This is not anymore value-based system. So in some cases, you have the same attitude, in some cases you differ. But European movement, because you come from this organization, it is important, but the problem is European Union decision-making process is too slow. They take right decision at the end because they talk too much at the end. But look, when you look to the Balkan countries, concrete example, Montenegro, yeah, 600,000 people. Why don't you take Montenegro? Or just one name, Northern Macedonia. Greece, 20 years long, was stopping the process. Northern Macedonia. Macedonia is Macedonia, yeah? We in Turkey, we never recognized it. We said, they said former Republic of Macedonia, former Republic of Yugoslavia. Yes. We said Macedonia directly. Now the Bulgarians have a trouble with the Macedonians. This type of things will be politicized. But at the end of the day, European Union is a huge success in the history. Never ever before the European countries so close together. NATO is much stronger. NATO is under the American control, and now 32 countries. There are developments. Before, Norway and Turkey were flank countries. It's always called Turkey and Norway, two flank countries. Today, we are not flank anymore because Finland and Sweden joined us. So, and all these developments in Europe, please, if you have not read, please read Timothy Garton Ash's book, Homelands. This is 70 years of history, personal history of Europe. It begins like this. When he was 16 years old, he came from Great Britain to France, this high school exchange program with the French family. First of all, he came from a country where the cars have on the right side yes. And in England, they eat very early. They call it supper. In France, they eat very late and in a much more relaxed atmosphere. He said, oh my God, it's different than my country. We are Europeans, but different. Timothy Garton Ash wrote an article with the title, Is Britain European? ? Yeah, there's this article. You can just check it. So I think at the end, when he was talking to a French one, and they made a huge, long intellectual discussion in front of fire and drinking wine. 2 world wars, Cold War, post-Cold War, and the guy said, this is Europe. This is Europe with all differences. So Europe is at least before I came here, I visited Adenauer Foundation. And there is a saying from Konrad Adenauer, whom I respect a lot. He is called a European and German. In 1952, Thomas Mann, this year it will be 150 years of him. Yes. And he said in... Yeah? Okay. I read Buddenbrooks and all the others. Now, very interesting. He said in 1952 at the University of Hamburg to the students, do you want to have Europeanized Germany or Germanized Europe? This is the choice of Germany. Germanized Europe or Europeanized Germany. Today we have Europeanized Germany. It's exactly this when Friedrich Merz said to Donald Trump, and he liked it, but you saved us from Nazi dictatorship. So this is the celebration. Huh? So from this perspective, European movement is important, but in some Balkan cases, it's not effective. Albania, Serbia, Montenegro, you know, those countries, it was the policy of European Union. Until 2025, they should have all the Balkan countries into European Union. There was the Austrian diplomat, Klaus, is a good friend of mine. He was responsible for this. Austria is still neutral. You know, why Austria is neutral? Why they don't join NATO? Because they don't need it. They are surrounded by all NATO countries. Like Romania in Cold War years, you know. Romania was also neutral, but they were surrounded by all Warsaw Pact countries. And, you know, there is a Austrian guy who is in X writing always, Albania should join European Union, Bosnia-Herzegovina should join European Union, etc., traveling all these countries. But it is a failure. My view is, in the Balkans, European Union failed. Those countries, including here, it should be a process already fulfilled. But this is politics, again, is not intellectual decision. If it is intellectual decision, wishful thinking, no problem. But politics is something which you don't like to see if it is produced. Salami is also one of the productions you don't want to see if it is produced.
Okay, we have time for two questions. One from Mr. Milan Igrutinovic, and after that from Zoom. I think we don't have any more. Yes, one. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. I wanted to talk about Balkans, but you kind of covered it. Russian-Ukraine war. We saw a bit of like American initiative, and it kind of slowed down, and it's probably going nowhere at this point. Do you see any reasonable progress in any, I mean, there is no like peace talks, any sensible term, but do you see it happening in a near future, let's say this year, with the American intermediary role? Or do you see war kind of progressing at least slowly for the next 1, 2, 3 years? And more philosophical thing, do you see like a Chinese role in a, let's say, grand peace bargain after this war, as some sort of outside guarantor like the USA was in 1945, which would kind of show where Europe is and how it got weaker over the last 100 years because they need extra European powers, and it is essentially a continent of as a security consumer and not a provider. It provides security to some other areas for sure, but in generally we forget it. It is a security consumer through American power, through other role, and it can get worse. That's what I'm saying. So it's a kind of philosophical thinking. Do you see it happening? And where do you see like war going and any chances for peace over the next, say, year or two? Thank you.
You speak hours and without result. in 2023, I was in Moscow, just landed, and I gave my passport. And the lady said, "Excuse me, would you please come with me?" I went. They wanted to get something to sign. I said, "No, I don't sign anything," because they probably one KGB man who was drunk from vodka said Hussein Bagđi may not enter into Russia. Though I met so many times Putin, Medvedev, name it, member of Valdai Club. I'm not allowed to enter Russia until 2032. 10 years. 2 years already passed. Why it was so? Because I'm coming from Turkey, and I was president of Foreign Policy Institute, and we have organized conferences with Polish, in Polish embassy, in people coming from Brussels. Technically, I cannot accept morally and intellectually that a strong neighbor is attacking weak neighbor. I said I was wrong. I cannot accept this morally. This is my political stance. What Russia has done is not acceptable. It does not mean that Ukraine is right. It is not. But this would bring more problems in international politics. Two countries made big mistakes. This is Ukraine and Kazakhstan. They renounced on nuclear weapons. White Russia is very close. I exclude it. But if Ukraine would have nuclear weapons today, it would be a much more different situation. Ukraine is not member of NATO, probably will not become member of NATO, also of the European Union, not in the foreseeable future. We see in the heart of Europe a political problem, but also philosophical, and have difficulties from day to day, who is right, who is wrong. What I know, in the book of Woodward, the book means war, very interesting, I would suggest. And there is a lot of talks between Biden administration and Vladimir Putin and Sergio and the defense minister of America. And Putin read a lot during the COVID period, the historical documents. His mind is getting now more and more this Russian savior, the savior of Russian soil, the savior of Russian history. Nothing is wrong with this. You can think like this. But the problem is, and now, once again, I follow the discussions very closely. In Germany, we have two types of people. One support Ukraine, and the other one who says, no, it is wrong. Carlo Massala, for example, we studied together. He was also in Ankara, recently by mayor. He was speaking at my university, and in the evening we had podium discussion. There are people who do not have any interest that the war is ending. That the war continue is in the interest of some people, some companies, we know this. On the other hand, the Russians in general, and I follow also the Russian public diplomacy. Yesterday, for example, I got from Cuba to South Africa, all this Russian Today and other propaganda materials, showing Zelensky as a Dracula, etc. So the thing is here, philosophically, who is right? Both sides have their arguments. Because Ukraine was also corrupt, I mean, we know this. Corruption is a global epidemic. In this part of the world, it was much stronger. If there is a war, if there is a peace, And the election, as I commented recently, because Vladimir Putin said, either there is elections and then I accept the new government and sit on the negotiation table. Remember this midnight statement of Vladimir Putin. He said, he collected all the journalists midnight. I was at home, watched Oppenheimer, nuclear film, and then 0:40, so around, I was called by television. Professor Bagđi, Putin said all the journalists should come together and he will make some statements. Could you please comment? I said, okay, when? He said, anytime. But I know Putin let the people wait at least 1 hour, and he was letting wait 1 hour. 1:40 a.m. in the morning, I'm still waiting. I was taking tie and, you know, in order to appear on television properly, not with my pyjama. And I spoke until 3 o'clock with another friend, commented. It was a big disappointment. He created the expectation as if he would participate. Zelensky said, I will come. And then, very interesting, he didn't come. And then disappointment there. In Tehran Dialogue Forum, the former deputy foreign minister and now the diplomat, I have the pictures here, in the podium discussion, I asked the Russian representative, I said, why do you do this? You create in the world this expectation, and then you do not come to the terms and you just exchange the prisoners. I said, you cannot do this. I said, is it not enough 3 years to fight? He looked at me and then he answered, of course, according to his view. Fine, but I put the question, is it not enough 3 years? Unnecessary war, more than 500,000 people lost their lives. 11 million people left the country. The thing is here, even the German Prime Minister said yesterday that Germany is behind Ukraine to support, but not the Taurus missiles. Taurus missiles is still not given, which can hit any place in Russia. They are very careful. And he was shifting. One day before he said this, within 24 hours, he corrected himself that they do not provide Taurus missiles. If Taurus missiles are provided, then they can hit any place in Russia. This war declaration, in other words. So, coming back to your question, I do not expect peace talks. The war will continue. Americans will have, yes, exactly this. Yeah, they try, Donald Trump, yes, it is true. But this intermediary role, Marco Rubio, you know, he was trying, he came to Istanbul, started, but Lavrov did not come. I mean, the team was what Vladimir Putin said was like UEFA Cup team, you know, not Champions League. So they are players, but not so important. And what they have, these 6,000 dead soldiers. And yesterday, the Russians made a good propaganda, Slobodan. They showed the bodies in this cool truck. And this Maria Zaranova, she said, this is the only government, only country which does not accept its own bodies, soldiers' bodies. The Israelis are fighting for this. This is the difference, maybe cultural difference. I don't know. But Chinese role in second point, I think China is just observing now, very careful. They observe. They are balancing their position, but I don't think so that Russia trusts China and Russia trusts Russia. So they play the game, yeah, but Chinese are aware that they are stronger, and they exercise certain pressure on Russia, but Russia is rejecting. 9 of May, it was the Victory Day. At the same day, we had the European countries leaders together, Poland, Germany, France, Britain. And in the same day, Xi Jinping was in Moscow. He was talking to him, but still, Putin does not move back. My conclusion, philosophical and political, Putin is in a psychological atmosphere that he thinks that the Russian soil, the Russian pride, the Russian independence, if you want, is in his hands. He is the savior, he is the protector. Whether it is wrong or right is another thing. We can see in future this. But China is definitely the winner of this conflict.
Thank you. Maybe only one short question from Zoom for our auditors.
Question from Misha Jurkovic. Great having you in Belgrade again. Question is about Turkish series, Dizi, and its global success. How is it perceived from Turkish political and social elite and its implication to soft power? Do you see other areas of soft power that might go along with that path? Sincere regards, Misha Jurkovic.
Soft power, Turkish soap operas. I don't watch it anyway. I don't have time. I rather watch the political debates. But when I go to countries like Tbilisi, let's say, in the reception, the girl, I gave the passport, and she spoke in Turkish. I said, oh, how did you learn it? She said, from Turkish soap opera, but perfect pronunciation. And then in Kazakhstan, I opened the television. Oh my God, the Kazakh speaks Turkish. Unbelievable. You know, this is indeed a good thing what Turkey has done. $1 billion in a year, Turkey exports now the soap opera, including Serbia. It is a good thing, I would say. But it is part of Turkish soft power, and I agree with this. The Turkish society, we have also divided. So there are soap operas, very modern, like Brazilian films in the 80s, and then also one of them is very interesting, one Islamic oriented thinking family, and then secular one, and how the Kızıl Goncalar, I think it was the, because it is too long, I just see a little bit and read. This is very interesting to change the Turkish society, and it is true, our society changed. We do not have anymore the same society like in the 80s and 90s. The new generation's expectations are different. Sometimes we have difficulties to understand the young generation, their expectations. We call it generational conflict. It is always so, but at the end of the day, the question is interesting. Soft power is what Turkey's strengths in global South countries particularly. There was a Serbian friend working in German Stiftung für Wissenschaft und Politik. And he said, you see, I called my mother. Before she was always saying, why you don't call me, what type of son you are? And he said, I was calling every week then. And then suddenly one day, she said, don't call me now, I cannot speak. I watch Turkish soap opera. He said, oh my God, she's rejected my talk. So she said, don't call me on this day, this hours. I watch opera, then find another time. So it is a success, maybe what Turkish cultural soft power will have further impact. In Arab countries, particularly, it is also very important. Many Arabs come to see these film platforms in Istanbul, you know. And now we have also this Ottoman Empire's sociological soap operas, loves, marriages among the foreigners, and the living in konak, as it is called, these villas and big families, and yeah, it's nice. But I cannot follow all of them, unfortunately. But my wife does.
Thank you very much, Professor Bagđi, for this inspirited lecture. And I want to give you the notes of thanks of our institute to be here in Belgrade with us. And also, I will hope that you will come again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Inshallah, always.
Always. Yes.
Thank you. Lovely.
Okay. And,
great.
I will hope we can continue to speak with the professor in my office if you want.
Yes.
And I hope.
Bedur.
Yes.